Hey ho, people, it's Stylo, it's Kirill from UnitLost.com, and this is another fantastical gaming news.
It's pure.
We know that,
Absolutely.
but we need to tell everyone. We don't know, because they know it as well. Surely they know it as well. Because I know it, son, and, well, don't we all know it, and don't we all love it? That's the other thing we need to get to the bottom of. We all love it, and it's pure. Anyway, this is turning into absolute rancidness, badness, and just garbage talk. So, the date today is the 23rd of September, and we've got a week of gaming news to cover. And I think I'm about to choke, but I do also think that the best place to start is probably Space Marine. Do you agree, son? Do you agree?
Yep.
Well,
Sorry, I sound so disheartened there. I just can't help it.
well, but let's talk about it then. Now, obviously, on the YouTube channel, we've got a playthrough that I've done. I've got one more episode to put up, but it's like a big, long, feature-length episode. I think it's like just over an hour long, finishing the game off. Let's talk about the good things it's done. For me, I think the combat was good because obviously a Space Marine is supposed to be, like a godlike killing machine, but not super godlike. You felt exposed at times. Against the orcs, they're an ideal enemy because there's just hundreds of orcs and you can just absolutely kill them. There's the excuse for them dying en masse is their orcs. You know what I mean? It's like a bunch of orc boys come, you're just going to kill them all, ain't you? That's what's going to happen. And they did get that right because the shooter boys, the orc boys, whatever, they were garbage. You'd kill them with like one hit of the chainsaw. Yet the orc knob, obviously he was a bit harder, and the war boss, well, he was harder still. And also, I'll warn you, there will be spoilers in this. Well, there might be spoilers. So if you're worried, don't listen. But to be honest, it's not exactly a masterful story anyway. So you're not really going to miss much. I mean, if you've read any kind of 40k lore or know anything about 40k, you can basically guess what's going to happen in the game.
The story wasn't the best, but they did do their best with, let's face it, limited material. Because having read most of the 40k novels to do with the Horus Heresy, that sort of leads up to the point where you are in the game, effectively. There's not really a lot you can do. It's quite clear cut. There's not much in the way of like twists and plot lines. It's just, this is the enemy, this is your weapon. You apply the weapon to the enemy until they are dead, but there are infinite numbers of them, and so you do it forever. That's pretty much the story of 40k all over, and that was pretty much the story for the single player as well, really.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed the single player. It was on rails. You just went the one direction. On hard, it was kind of difficult. It wasn't super difficult. It got easier as the game went on. Like when you started to get the upgraded Fury, it was like you could just you constantly had the Fury and you could just massacre everyone. There wasn't really much of a threat. I mean, basically Nemiroth at the end of the game, he was the only one who really posed a threat. And I think I died twice on that encounter, but I didn't die to Nemiroth himself because when it came to fighting him, it was a quick time event, which is like, I don't like quick time events because I don't like quick time events. They're cheap. There's no skill in it. You're just watching the screen. It's like left mouse button, right mouse button, left mouse button, right mouse button, space bar, blah blah blah. But I do think like with the things it did right is it did the combat right. It did the feeling of being a Space Marine right, because shockingly, no game has ever done this before. I mean, you've had your squad-based games. You've had what's that really old one? It escapes my mind. It was dead old, and it had some like video cutscenes in it that were done by live action. I think it was a dead old game, a dead old 40k game, but whatever. Somebody will know what it is in the comments. But again, they're all like tactical squad-based combat things, like the board game. Well, it's not a board game, like the tabletop game, which is okay. But for actually being a Space Marine, I think they got that right. And I did enjoy the voice acting and things like that, but it's like it was too short. I mean, I think it took me. I think it probably took me about 7 hours to complete it.
My total
Around
gameplay
about
was about
7
that as
or
well.
8 hours, yeah, something like that on hard. If it was on easy, it would have been dead quick, but obviously it was on hard. Now, for something that you're going to pay £35 for, or €40, or $50 or whatever it costs around the world, that is like, well, that's okay. If the multiplayer is going to be any good, which leads us on to the other point, the multiplayer is absolutely dire, absolutely dire. You're laughing. I wasn't laughing when we were playing it. I was like, what the hell is this?
They've taken what can only be described as, and I'll say this from seeing the customization when you briefly went through it at the end of the clip, and looking at I think it was actually Total Biscuit's video of the multiplayer. The customization options, when you finally get that far, are actually pretty damn good. They're better than in the Dawn of War series. You've got so many variations of armours and colours, and there are so many
Well, it had all the
chapters.
chapters, yeah, and there were proper chapters as well, not just made up crap.
Yeah, it's like the customization was done first, and then someone thought, "Oh shit, we need to tag a game mode onto the end of this," and they took the matchmaking system from Dawn of War 2. They took the inability to have your own dedicated server from, what is it, not last Call of Duty, the one before, and they just decided to make it basically a hack and slash fest where
Well,
anyone who's
in
been...
Dawn of War, you couldn't have your own dedicated server unless you were playing unranked games, which is a bit dodgy, because when you played a ranked game, if you were against somebody who was, like, you know, on a shite computer, it was like, Jesus Christ, it used to ground to a halt. It was terrible. And also with the multiplayer in Space Marine, the microphones would turn on at the start of the game, right? And so you could hear everybody talking. Okay, that's a console thing, because everybody's talking on the headsets. You've either got a headset or you haven't. Now, obviously, me and Kirioff are sitting there with our condenser microphones, you know, trying to do a gameplay review. Is it pure of it? And it's like, what the hell? You know, we're telling everyone what we're doing. Anyway, so I muted them all. That's okay. But then, as the game loaded in, they're all unmuted again. It's like, what the hell? And they're still talking. Oh, God. Little things like that were just terrible. But, I mean, even going back to the combat in the multiplayer was just like, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said the problem was, in the single player, there's hordes of enemies coming in, and you're massacring them, which is good. But in multiplayer, there's only like another Space Marine running towards you, and it's like, they can't replicate the hordes, can they? Because it's just like one guy. But when he gets to you and he hits you with his chainsaw, you're dead. It's like one hit and you're gone. It's like, hey.
It's like the paper feel that the enemies had in the single player was duplicated in the multiplayer, except because you are the enemy to everyone else, you're the one who's made of paper. So it's like, instead of being this Space Marine who has like big fights with other Space Marines, like Chaos and loyal Space Marines, they always fight, but it's rarely a case of, oh, I've just shot you in the face and you're instantly dead. You're both superhuman warriors, right? You're both going at it, you're both ridiculously strong, ridiculously highly trained, and you've got ridiculous weapons. You should not just run up to someone, tap them in the face with a chainsaw, and then have them crumple to the floor. For a start, the armour they wear is supposed to be impervious to that. So I ask you, son, when you killed me twice in the first game...
Don't they need power weapons to get through the armour?
Pretty much. You've got to properly saw at someone for like a good 10 minutes to make a dent in the armour. And yet in the multiplayer, it's just, a lad has landed behind me and I am now dead. And it's like, excuse me. And yet, with the bolters, you could rail someone until your clip ran out and they wouldn't die. So it's like, it's horrendous double standards. And they could have modified the combat to have a proper duel system with blocking, with like impact, with basically think like.
Well, that's what they should have done.
Think like Soul Calibur. I know it's a console game, but if you think about how you can block, how there's low attacks, high attacks.
Well, like any beat 'em up game.
Any beat 'em up.
Yeah.
You could have added something like that into Space Marine for the multiplayer, so that instead of it feeling as though you are attacking a horde that isn't there, you're actually attacking another person. Because with the moment, it's just, you stand there and you spam, and you either die, or you kill someone and then die. There's no
Yeah, it's just about killing as many people as you can before you die. There's no, like, you can't, like... Yeah, I mean, the Devastator was a joke. I mean, what are you going to do? Okay, so I'll sit into the corner, right? I'll set my heavy bolter up, right? Surely nobody... Oh, it doesn't matter, because somebody's just... Well, a raptor or somebody... they are raptors, aren't they? The jump assault for the chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just... ran at me and slashed me and I'm dead. It's like, oh, but I've got a heavy bolter here. What's going on? It's like, it ain't very good. It's dead bad. And it's like, the only saving grace it could possibly have, like you said, was if the last stand mode, or whatever the hell they call it, the co-op thing they're bringing in, could be okay. Now, I've got a feeling that might be all right, because if it's, you know, players against NPCs, well, they seem to have got that right. You know, you can imagine 200 orcs running at you. That'd be kind of funny. But it's still not the multiplayer combat. I mean, like we said when we were playing it, we'd rather be playing Mount and Blade. Mount and Blade, as it is a better bloody combat system than that.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that's the thing. The thing that disappointed me most is when we're messing about on Mountain of Blade with claymores and going after people on horseback, you feel more like a Space Marine with a claymore than you do playing a Space Marine in the multiplayer of Space Marine, because you
Even
last
Bark on
longer.
Mountain Blade. I
You
mean,
do
I
more
can't 'cause I'm
damage.
crap, but
It's just like, it feels like a half-assed effort that was added onto the end of a very short single-player game. And I did love the single player, but it is too short.
yeah, it was a good single player experience. You know, you felt like a Space Marine, all that crap, but it was too short. Are they going to bring out loads of DLC? Is it going to be free? Probably not. And if Relic's track record's anything to go by, they just bring out skins. So there'll be like a load of whatever chapters they haven't included. I don't know. I'm not up on the lore, but there you go. That's basically what we think about Space Marine, which is like, it is good, but then it isn't that good. So the single player is pure. I do agree. And I'm sure Kirov, well, of course I agree. I agree with myself. You know, he agrees with that. But it should have been longer. But it was good for what it was. But it's not really worth what they're asking for it at the moment.
No, I think they.
I mean, if you like 40k, it is. But if you're thinking to yourself like I was, oh yeah, I'll play the single player, I'll go into the multiplayer. You can't. It's just like you play the single player and that's it. You know, you can't play through it again. Well, you could, but you just do the same thing again. There's nothing different.
I think the only other one small thing I would have liked to see is more weapons in the single player. But then again, it gets a bit silly, because when you look at how many weapons Space Marines actually use, it gets a bit over the top. But that's just like the little 40k geek inside me sort of going mental for more stuff. But the co-op could be good, but as it stands, single player is pure, multiplayer is not at all pure. It's just rancid.
No, we'll have to wait until this co-op thing comes out and see what we can do about that. Anyway, so let's rock on. So on the 17th of September, we had Sinashi, who is part of the Unit Lost writers team, did a Deus Ex Human Revolution write-up. Now, this is very detailed. They usually are the articles of him. There'll be a link in the description. Make sure you check it out, because, well, it's a good write-up. I mean, it's very detailed. He picks on loads of points, and you may have watched my video, which is my views of the game. And now, if you read this review, you can see somebody who, what would you say, was really looking forward to the game.
Yeah. I think
and focuses more on its good points, whereas I was like, "What the hell is this?" You know, I briefly went over on its good points, its story and such, but I was too focused on the state of the graphics and the AI and things like that, which just really broke it for me. But he really elaborates on the other parts, so it's definitely worth a look.
Yeah.
But as I say, there'll be a link in the description.
On the same day, just to go to the other end of the spectrum, Raiko, being the lad he is, put up a video of the Tokyo Game Show booth babe montage. All the lasses that are around the booths. He's found a video and he's put that up because that's just how he rolls, son.
You can't blame the lad. Terrible. So yeah, I mean, what I'll do is I'll just stick a link to everything in the description, because then you can't miss it. And then you can't moan at me for not doing it, you scumbags. The next thing we got is Dead Space 2 is free with my Battlefield 3. Now, the comments for this article are quite hilarious, because basically what you do is, if you go to EA's customer service, I don't know whether you can still do it now. You probably can, actually, yeah. And you tell them that you've, what do you say? This is off Raiko again, innit? The guys at Origin are giving away Dead Space 2 with all your Battlefield 3 pre-orders. One thing, it's for today only, so you can't. So it's kind of redundant what I'm even talking about. But still, the comments are funny, so we're still going to that. I don't like crap games, even if they're free. I don't like Dead Space 2, so in my mind, it's a crap game. I remember when EA gave me a free game when I bought Battlefield Bad Company 2 Vietnam off their download service. It wasn't called Origin then. This was pre-Origin days. And I said it was Fallout Paradise. What the hell is Fallout Paradise? I don't even know. I think what I was doing is I'd read something about Fallout, because I think is it the Lonely Road or something, the expansion for that, or some DLC. And the game I was on about was Burnout Paradise. So Fallout is sort of like Burnout, and something went bad in my brain. So I'm like, yeah, Fallout Paradise. And then I get everybody laughing at me, because it's like, what the hell is Fallout Paradise? But what I'm saying is, even though they give it me for free, I didn't want it because I just didn't want it. So it's like, it's crap that is. And also, what the hell has Dead Space 2 got to do with Battlefield 3 apart from EA publish it?
That is the thing that I picked up on. I just thought to myself, because, the one thing you really want when you get in your war simulator is a sci-fi horror game to go alongside. It's like, fair enough, gamers will like anything, but if I'm going for Battlefield 3, the first thing on my mind is not going to be, oh, now I can play a sci-fi horror game whilst I wait for my Battlefield game to come out.
It's like going shopping for something and getting given a load of shit as well. It's like you go into, I don't know, Asda, and you're like, oh yeah, I've come to buy some Haagen-Dazs ice cream, right? Oh yeah, nice and expensive. And they go, oh, by the way, you get 50 tons of our crap vanilla. And it's like, well, I only want chocolate. No, you get the vanilla. It's like, what? You don't want it, do you? But it's like, so most people are like, oh yeah, it's free. I'll have it. But I'd be, no, I don't want your shit. Get rid of it. That's what it is. That's what it looks like to me, and I don't know part of it.
I thought it was more a case of like you go to the shop and you get your case of beer, and they say, well, actually, we've got a promotional offer. Would you like some scented hand wash as well?
Yeah, something totally different.
Yeah, it's not related. It's not necessary. Don't want it. Go away.
Terrible. I mean, I don't know. That's not a very good marketing decision, is it? Why didn't they give Bad Company 2 away? Like, you get that now. Because then people could go and play that and they'd be like, oh yeah, this looks mad. And then get onto Battlefield 3 and be like, oh my god, this is crazy. That's what they should have done. But no. Who knows? I don't know, and I don't care. But I'm not playing Dead Space 2, so we can piss off. Then we've got details. This was on the 19th of September. Details on the Vampire the Masquerade MMO. Well, sort of.
Well, they weren't really that helpful, to be honest. They've not really released proper details about it, only that it's based on Vampire the Masquerade. It's an MMO.
Who's making this? Oh,
CCP.
EVE Online, yeah.
Yeah, and they've said fantastically vague things like their philosophy in making the MMO is human interaction. Well, to be honest, it would be. It's an MMO. It's not going to be focused on the AI, is it?
You know what's pissing me off? I'll tell you what's pissing me off. All this shit about vampires, nobody cares. I mean, are you going to play a vampire MMO? I ain't. I don't even care.
I'm beyond bored of
it's
vampires.
Like fucking Twilight and all that crap. I don't buy into any of that. It's like, what the hell is that? I want no part of it. And it's also quite clear to me that the biggest selling MMO franchises are fantasy games. I mean, yeah, World of Warcraft, your EverQuest, your bloody Guild Wars, your Guild Wars 2 that's coming out. They're not set in some stupid vampire world or in the future or any of that crap. People like the fantasy games. Maybe people like the vampire games, but to me, it just seems a bit like a zombie game. People are pissed bored of them. It's like, why? We don't need it. And we don't want it. And that's Stylos' verdict from Unilost.com. And then the next thing is also on the 19th of September, was Iron Cross Open Beta is go, in Mr. Kirioff's words. Now, this, I've actually downloaded it, but I haven't loaded it up. But it's made by Panzer Division.
That's one of the main reasons I put the post up. I looked at it and I went, Iron Cross, Panzer Division. It's got to be reported. Look at that name, Panzer Division.
I mean, it's terrible, isn't it? What the hell, Panzer Division?
It looks about 18 years old.
Oh my god, it looks worse than Command and Conquer 1.
It does actually.
Well, just Command and Conquer. Let's be technical. It's not called Command and Conquer. What? No, what's it called? Tiberian Dawn. I think that's what it's called, isn't it? Good Lord.
I think it is.
It better be. Because Twilight is 4 in it. The Abomination. So, yeah, I mean, we haven't looked at it. Maybe I'll look at it at some point on the channel, but it's not on the top of my list. It's some crazy World War II game. Like Mr. Kirov says, looks about 2 decades old. But no doubt you can click on the link and have a look at the website, and you can download it's a beta, ain't it, at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can download the beta. That's what I downloaded, but I haven't installed it. Maybe that tells a story in itself. I don't know, but I haven't looked at it, so how can I pass judgment on it? I don't know. And the next thing we got, which is on the 20th of September, was the Defense of the Ancients 2 client was leaked by a Vietnamese tester.
The very first line of this, I've put, because I'm very sure it's true. It must be. It's safe to assume that said tester now is a very, very banned Valve account, like massively banned. They've banned him by name, date of birth, address. They've taken a sample of his DNA. If he tries to start another account up, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, but how would they know it was him, though? I mean, if he downloaded the files and just stashed them on the internet, who would know?
I think that they've got
Or
the way, son.
Or is it like a
Valve
password?
Valve have got like tentacles everywhere, son. They know what's going down.
Is it done through Steam? I don't know. Bloody, who knows? Who cares? But it's funny because you could see all the there were bits and pieces for what could possibly be episode 3.
No,
But
this
Valve,
actually,
no, hang on. Valve fucking do this all the time, though. Put bits and pieces out, and it's like, yeah, I mean, what's that got to do with Defense of the Ancients? And it's like, yeah, a little bit of viral advertising, bit of marketing, but then nothing. It's like, piss off. And I'm bored of them making games with a 10-year-old graphics engine. Well, not 10 years old. Source, what the hell?
I'm just sick of the fact that they keep dropping hints about episode 3 without ever producing the damn thing.
Well, if they do, surely, I mean, you would think to yourself, right, they're going to make episode 3, they need to do it really fast on the current graphics engine, yeah, and then move to a new one for Half-Life 3. Because if they keep messing around, they're going to have to develop a new engine for episode 3, which is kind of redundant because surely you'd want a new engine for your new game. Because, I mean, surely they're going to make Half-Life 3 at some point. Because, the first 2 were like Game of the bloody Millennium and all that crap. You know, widely critically renowned for and they were good games. Well, they were great games, but I don't know. I mean, they just seem a bit mad to me.
They've not really got the hang of episodic gaming either. I mean, the whole point of episodic gaming is that you have short episodes, but there's a short time in between them, and they're quite cheap. Valve seem to be doing it so they're short episodes, there's years between them, and they're the price of a full game, which is not quite how it's supposed to work. But
no, it's not. I think Valve are quite a small team as well, which is another strange thing, with considering the money that Steam would generate from. You think that they'd branch out into other areas, but I don't know. Maybe that's just how Big Bad Gabe likes to do it. So, also on the 20th of September, Gearbox wants your thoughts on Duke Nukem Forever. Now, just hang on a minute. I'll give you my thoughts on Duke Nukem Forever. All right, this is a quote. Here are my extensive thoughts. It's a fucking abomination, and the Gearbox team in charge of this fiasco should be shot. And then a chap called Mr. Kirioff, I agree, wholeheartedly, good sir. I can only imagine what he's about to say now.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to save them. Going to save them a bit of effort. You might not even need to link this because this is what I said, and this encapsulates all I think about Duke Nukem Forever. Actually, so it's quite handy in that respect. Apparently, Duke Nukem actually sold pretty well. I put this down to humanity slowly devolving to the point of being a race of dribbling window lickers with absolutely no concept of good taste and a complete lack of intelligence. After all, Duke Nukem Forever was a fucking awful game, so the fact that it sold well does not do much for my faith in humanity. Anyway, Gearbox, for some reason, want to know what you think about Duke Nukem Forever. I assume this is so Gearbox can ensure the next instalment is not a steaming pile of shit. And there you have it.
Oh dear. Well, it was terrible. That game was terrible. The only reason it sold well is because it was like, oh, look at this. It's outlandish, Americanized, crazy hero guy. Does what he likes, drinks, gets all the women and all that crap.
Picks up his own crap.
What? Yeah, but what you got to think is all the younger people, the early teens, the 14s, 15s, 16-year-olds are seeing this and they're getting it for their Xbox because that's where it's sold. It can't have sold well on the PC. I'd need to see some figures, but I mean it's just a frigging horrendous game. Absolutely horrendous. Well, I mean, when I played the demo, I was absolutely shocked. I was like, what the? I just couldn't even believe what I was witnessing.
I hate it.
It don't even deserve airtime. It's terrible. No. I hate it. Just keep saying it. Duke Nukem Forever. I hate it. I hate Gearbox for making it. Although Borderlands 2 don't look too bad, so maybe they've sort of redeemed themselves a bit there. But whatever. Also on the 20th of September, Battlefield. We had a little funky news article about Battlefield 3 beta will start soon, and it basically says that on the 29th of September the beta will go open. But if you've pre-ordered, but only through Origin, you get access on the 27th. Now I've pre-ordered, but I pre-ordered through an online retailer for an actual physical copy, so I don't have any of that early beta access. But I mean, me and the beta on Battlefield 3 is like, on the one hand, it's good because you can go in and learn the maps and be a shady bastard and get better at the game for when it goes live. On the other hand, you kind of ruin it for when it does go live. But then in the back of your head, you're like, well, is this bastard who just killed me, is he been on the beta and robbed me because he knows all the dirty tricks. So it's like whatever. It goes hand in hand, doesn't it? But it's out on them dates. So check out the news post and keep an eye on I think there's a link there. Yeah, keep your eye on the Battlefield link. Save it in your bookmarks because I think you can just directly download the client from it. Yeah, there's just a starting 29th of September, download for PC, download for Xbox, download for PS3.
That does include an Origin installer though, so if you ain't got Origin on your PC already and you don't want it, then you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to do it anyway to play Battlefield 3, but...
Because unfortunately, it is required.
It is. Why? Anyway, I won't get depressed about that. I'm sick of having a million download services. It's just not on. Go and have one. Just one massive one. And everyone gets a stake
You need to calm down. You do, son. And I'm going to calm you down by saying also, on September the 20th, Batman Arkham City catches UBI softitis.
It did. As if it isn't enough that Ubisoft put back every one of their PC releases by about a month. Warner have decided that Batman Arkham City is going to be released later on PC than on PlayStation and Xbox. PS3 and Xbox 360 get it on the 21st of October.
Hang on, son. I got to say, like, from watching John Carmack go on about his spiel and about how poor, well, it ain't spiel, but it's so technical, it just blows my brain away, at QuakeCon, when he does his keynote, about how difficult it is to optimise things for PC because the drivers for the graphics cards are so shit. He always goes on about the overhead and all this crap, like it's difficult to do. Maybe that's the reason. But then again, if you've got a production cycle, you'd expect to be able to get it done in that time. But saying they've got UBI softitis, it's not really fair, bloke, because that means that you buy Settlers, what is it, 7, is it? Is that the new one? Well, whatever it is, the new Settlers game, you play it single player, and your internet connection drops out, and you're thrown out of the game. Oh dear. And I do believe the same type of situation has been going on with Diablo 3 in the Diablo 3 beta, because you're required to be online even though you're playing single player, and also there's quite some dodgy issues with that. Like, you can't pause the game. Like, you have to log out, and if you stay inactive for a certain amount of time, it just logs you out. It's like, what the hell? Because you're connected to their server, so you're using some kind of server resource up, and they want to get rid of you. That is pretty fucking dodgy for a single player game.
Yeah,
if you're playing it single player, that is bad.
What happened to good old LAN as well?
Well, really? They got rid of that. Battle.net just killed it. They just think everyone can just sit connected on Battle.net all day. Well, I can, unless my internet connection goes down. But there's people who just can't sit there all day with it. And also people who want to play games on the move. Somebody might have like an hour commute to work every morning. Might want to sit down and have a game of Diablo or, play StarCraft or whatever. Who knows? I don't know. But they can't because they just get sold a kipper because their internet collapses. Anyway, September the 20th seems to be quite a good day for news, because we've got another post here. It's Orcs Must Die release date revealed even. Now, to me, Orcs Must Die don't look too bad, actually.
It looks quite funny, doesn't it? It's definitely not taking itself seriously, but I quite like it. It's just, as the title suggests, you just kill orcs. That's the entire game. You can trap them or shoot them or stab them or set them on fire. Just kill loads of orcs. I like the idea of that, to be honest.
One moment. I do apologise. So it reminds me of Sanctum. It's the same type of thing, but it's not really FPS. It's third person, but it kind of is FPS, really, if you think about it. You just got to stop the orcs getting into your castle. Using loads of traps. Now, I mean, they've done a nice interactive trailer, which again the link will be in the description below, where you can basically make selections on what stuff to build, and they run through it. It's quite good marketing. I did like that. It was quite funky monkey. And also on September the 20th, we've got Battlefield 3 system requirements came out. Now, I did see some posts about Battlefield system requirements today for ultra settings, which were quite a bit beefier than what we've got listed on the site. But these are only for minimum and recommended settings. So we won't blab all the bloody details out here, because it's just a load of Windows 74-bit, quad-core CPU, 4 gig of RAM, 20 gig hard drive space. And what the fucking hell are they going to be giving us? But there you go. Probably 10 different bloody language packs, all with dodgy video clips that they've just encoded the language in because they're lazy. I don't know, but something terrible. But whatever. The link's in the description. You can check that out. But then we go to another day. Finally, we go to another day. Would you believe it? It's September the 21st, and it's a Let's Play Space Marine Part 8. Which is me playing Space Marine, and it's part 8, because this was the first post of a new initiative at UnitLost.com, where every time the YouTube channel is updated with a video, there will be a post on the blog. So if you read the blog, you see the video. It makes sense. It was originally what we did with the blog with UnitLost.com, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, but it's integrated in a more professional way.
Well, let's just say at the time, UnitLost.com didn't exactly have much content on it. It just had YouTube videos, which was kind of shit, but now it's pure. Some would say 100% pure. We then move on, son. Still, well, we move on slightly, but we're still September the 21st. DICE tell us about Battlefield 3 game modes.
Yes, there are quite a few of these. I mean, we could go through them now, but it might take a while. But
we can. I mean, they just look like the same as the other games, as Bad Company 2.
Yeah, you've got Rush, Squad Rush, which is just Rush but smaller, obviously. Conquest, which is like the big all-out warfare thing, like Caspian Border.
Conquest's your typical Battlefield game. Like, I mean, if anybody played Battlefield 1942, that's Conquest.
Yeah, that's like 64 players, so that's absolutely pure. I can't wait for that, to be honest. Team Deathmatch and Squad Deathmatch. So it's your standard Battlefield stuff, but they've gone through and outlined sort of what you can have in terms of vehicles, changes to things like MCOM stations. There are little tweaks they've put in for the game modes that they've listed, so it's worth having a look at that. Yeah,
I mean, if you don't know what Battlefield's about, have a look at it. But if you've played Battlefield before, then you'll know what the game modes are. It's not really worth looking at. Also on September the 21st, Mr. Kirioff, he simply says, go and read this article.
Yep. I suggest you do. No, it's about basically it's the Metro, which hilariously is, I believe, owned by the Daily Mail, which says a lot about its quality. The fact it's free says a lot more about its quality as well. Basically, published a story claiming
is that a picture of it on the blog?
You know what? I genuinely don't know. I just nicked that off Google. But the Metro basically published a story about a study that was done. The study said that after you play games for a long time, like say you sit there for 4 hours playing World of Warcraft or whatever, you go outside and say you're due to meet your mate, and there's a big crowd, and you think to yourself, a /who would come in handy here because I'm going to be able to find the lad. Well, admittedly, I've never done that myself, but the thing is, if you do a repeated action for a long enough time...
Or you're an engineer on Bad Company 2 and you're chucking landmines down everywhere, but then you're in your car driving to work and you see a manhole cover and you're like, oh, it's a landmine, so you do evasive manoeuvres and run everyone over on the path. Is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, right? People might think that. Like, there might be the occasional moment where I've done this before when I've played, like... when I first got Assassin's Creed and I played it for 10 hours straight. Now, that was not very clever. But the thing is, you go outside and you find yourself looking at things going, it would be quite cool if you could actually just run and jump across gaps like that. You know you can't. You ain't going to attempt it because you'd fall off a building and die, right? That's the difference.
So what they're saying is that if you see something on a game, you think you can do it. So, like, I've been playing Batman and I think I've got a bloody grappling hook. So I'll think to myself, well, you see my window over there? Well, there's a house over there. I'll just throw a towel or something, or get a ball of knitting wool, throw it out the window, and then try and ride it.
No, see, this is the thing.
Trying to say I can't differentiate between what's real and what ain't.
Yeah, the Metro is saying that this study proves that gamers can't differentiate between real life and games. What the study said was if you do something long enough, if you repeat the same actions over and over again for a long enough period of time, there'll be a little trigger where you go outside, you see something that brings that action to mind, and you think things like, that would be good if I could do that. A good example is one guy said, it would be good if I could have a portal gun because then I could stay in my room and still get stuff out of the fridge. Now, that is not actually suggesting that he has built a portal gun and is now upset that it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's
but
just
that's
a cheeky joke.
But the Metro has decided that that's what this study says. That the guy who wants to get a portal gun so he can sit there and just stick his hand in the fridge, which is a good idea, but it'll never happen, actually thinks that he can do this. And at no point did the study say this. Fortunately, I mean, I wasn't very good about this because I was going to write something, but I'm not. I found the story so stupid and illogical that I couldn't really put into words how I felt about it. Luckily, John Walker from Rock Paper Shotgun, well, he he's quite the I don't know how to say, erudite, well spoken. He knows what he's saying. He can formulate excellent responses to crap articles like this, and he wrote a very good article that outlined all the bits where the Metro went wrong. And by all of it, I mean literally all of the article in the Metro, because it was all wrong. But it's worth going to have a read, because it's one of those things where it's yet another paper who's randomly decided that gaming is a good target to be ridiculed.
I remember on ITV a couple of months ago where the Alan Titchmarsh show had somebody on from Eurogamer. I think.
Oh, that was horrendous. That was.
It was just like, oh, games turn our kids into. Anyway, they're frigging idiots. I don't know what they're talking about. The next thing we've got on September the 21st was Nuclear Dawn release date was confirmed. Now, we played Nuclear Dawn, the beta. I think it's still in beta because it comes out on the 26th of September. As far as I'm aware, it's still kind of rough, and you don't really know what you're doing because they haven't really done much in the way of tutorials. They have been emailing tutorials out to people who are on the mailing list, which tell you how to play the game. And there's obviously they've got a YouTube channel, but they're not the bestest, if that's even a word. It's a bit rough around the edges, really. It's like it's looking more and more just like a mod to me than it is a game. You know, like a polished product. And I think it's been in development for years as well. But that might not be true. But I'm sure I read somewhere that it'd been made for 5 odd years or something. I don't know. Pretty crazy if that's the case. But as we say, that'll be out on the 26th of September on Steam. Again, more Battlefield news on the 21st September is it's basically at 1.5 pre-order. No, 1.5 million.
One guy got halfway through the ordering process and then his computer crashed.
Get rid.
That's not bad. 1.5 million. I mean, I still think it might struggle against Modern Warfare 3 in terms of sales. I think Modern Warfare 3 will beat it just because.
Modern Warfare 3 will beat it. It's unfortunate. It just will. I mean, Battlefield 3's got a better marketing campaign than any Battlefield game's ever had, and probably any game EA's done has had. Well, maybe The Sims. Although, to be honest with The Sims, you don't. I remember seeing Sims TV adverts, but I've not seen a Battlefield 3 advert on the telly. Or then again, have I seen a COD advert on the telly?
I think I've seen.
Probably have.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of. Well, I say I've seen a couple. I've seen the same COD advert a couple of times. It's giving them undue credit there.
Yeah, they usually stick it on like in the middle of Premier League football games and whatever. But the I think Battlefield 3 it'll sell the most out of any Battlefield game ever, easily, because the marketing's so good and the game itself. I mean, we've played it; it's pretty good. But against Modern Warfare, when it comes down to sales, it won't beat Modern Warfare because of what Modern Warfare is. And unfortunately, that's the age we live in at the moment. Until people get given the light and throw their Xboxes away and go like, oh, good Lord, what is this? Anyway, son, we go on to a fresh day. The 22nd of September, we've got a new mode for Counter-Strike Go's announced, and it's called Arsenal.
Which is not the football team, obviously.
No, managed by Wenger.
It's basically it's basically gun game. Well, I say it's basically gun game. It is gun game effectively, especially since the guys who created gun game are now working with Valve to create Arsenal for Counter-Strike.
Created gun game. Hang on a minute. I could have created gun game for you. It's just a map with weapons all over the place, ain't it? And they spawn, don't they? When you kill people, you get a better gun, don't you? Yeah, and you just run around drilling people.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's the most complicated game mode known to man, but they came up with it first and published it first.
I played it for long enough.
But yeah, they're now helping to develop Arsenal for Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and apparently this mode will feature arms race and demolition. Arms race, obviously, is just gun game, and demolition is gun game with more explosives. So there you go.
Why didn't they just call it gun game? Because people know what that is.
I have no idea. You would have thought they would just
gun game demolition. Who knows? Again, if anybody wants to hire me for the marketing department, I'm available. And then on the 22nd of September, we got a new Game of Thrones Genesis trailer. It shows a man with a map, but it also shows a man doing loads of blacksmithing.
It does. It's got maps. It's got blacksmithing. What is it? I don't. To be
But the
honest,
thing with this, right, this Game of Thrones game, if you remove the fact it's Game of Thrones out of your brain, right, and you just look at it, it looks like some kind of cheap Total War game, like really cheap. It's like what? So I don't know. I think Game of Thrones is carrying that through for me and keeping me a little bit interested in it.
yeah. To be honest, it just does look like Total War. You can
Yeah,
even.
but
If it had the golden crown moment in it, then that'll make it pure. But I doubt it will have.
Crown for King. I don't think it will somehow because it ain't supposed to be like early. Anyway, whatever. Let's get out of it. Oh, here we go. We got a game, Mr. Kirioff. He seems to know quite a bit about, and I don't really care for. September the hang on, son. It's September the 22nd. We got to tell him the date. As for just talking crap. Assassin's Creed Revelations multiplayer trailer is icky.
Well, it is. It's like it's just 2 minutes of being murdered in horrible ways. I mean, I know Assassin's Creed has never been about yes, I shall lay you down for your death and give you painkillers, but it's just like at one point, some woman's walking along the street, she gets her knee snapped with a club, and then smashed in the base of the skull. It's like right, cheers for that. I mean, it looks funny enough, but then again, that's all that Assassin's Creed is to me. It's just a murder simulator, so it looks quite good.
So hang on, you go out into the real world, do you, bloke, and do this?
Yes.
Do you, son? Oh my god. Oh my god, we've got a confession out of the lad. Get into the metro. What's their email address? Metro. Oh dear. Then we carry on. We move on. We put the unit Lost ship into another port of news, and it is Allied and enemy guilds in the Old Republic. This was also on September the 22nd. And as far as I am aware, this just basically means you can have Allied guilds and enemy guilds, but you can only have 3. And as Mr. Kirioff said, this is probably because you could imagine one big guild, who's quite a powerful guild, high-end raid guild or whatever, is not particularly liked by all the other guilds because their members are going around going, blah, 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 look at my Darth Vader helmet, blah. So what naturally happens from that, son? Well, you get 10 guilds all gang up and bin you. So I do think that like Mr. Kirioff said, and I do agree with him, is some kind of defensive measure against what do they call it? What did they call it when I played EverQuest? They used to call it cock blocking, right? I think that's an American term when you'd like you do things to aggravate other guilds so they couldn't complete contested mob kills and things like that. That's what they're trying to prevent. It must be. But then again, it's not just open PvP, is it? That game? I mean, here's me thinking it's some kind of game you just go and smash people. So who knows? I don't even know, and I don't even care. So get out of my face. I don't even care. And then on September the 22nd, we've got another part of the Let's Play Space Marine, Part 9, obviously. Before it was Part 8, this is Part 9. Go and watch it. It's the best. It's me playing Space Marine. Then, on also the same day, we've got a Is It Pure Bunch of Heroes now. I'll let Mr. Kirioff speak a moment, because I seem to have absolutely taken over the airwaves.
I quite liked Bunch of Heroes. I was rubbish at it. I'll hold my hands up. I was totally crap. But it's quite a fun little game. It's stupid.
I think little's the key word there, ain't it?
Yeah, it's pretty much just the same thing over and over again. But there's enough like daft humour and there's enough of a challenge there when you get past the first stage to make it interesting to play. And it's $8.99, isn't it?
No, it's actually no. It's cheaper on Gamersgate. It's £7.19, I think, on Gamersgate. There's a link in the videos.
Yeah, that's really not too bad for what it is. It's definitely worth that much, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get a couple of hours of enjoyment out of it. It's funny to play with your friends. I mean, if you sort of think of like Left 4 Dead, but a top-down shooter, that's a decent comparison. But it's got its stupid elements to it. It's funnier, sort of. It's made by Argentinian developers, and you can tell by their mastery of the English language.
Yeah, some of them are quite good, isn't it?
And also on September the 22nd, we had Space Marine multiplayer gameplay, which we've spoke quite a lot about the multiplayer of Space Marine.
We'll gloss over that.
Yeah, you watch the clip, it's more detailed, and you'll see what we're going on about. Especially the bits where I jump down and slash Mr. Kirioth in the face with one slash of a chainsaw, and he's just capitulation central dead. He's like, oh, I don't want no part of this, I'm gone. Terrible, terrible damage. And also on the 22nd, we've got a bunch of Heroes gameplay, which is just extended gameplay of me and Kirioth. It leads on after the Is It Pure, but it's 43 minutes of just solid gameplay to give you a real outline of what the gameplay is about. Of course, it's in full 1080p HD because that's how we roll. And then more clips. We've got Lux Domination gameplay. Now, this was from the 23rd, so yesterday. I actually came back in from. I was out for a few hours. Came back into the house. I get news that, oh my god, the Dominion beta's on limited access. What the hell? Limited time only. So I loaded the game straight up, went straight into a game, and just recorded myself playing Dominion. And it was quite good. It's definitely more action-packed than the standard 5v5. The Twisted Tree Line, or whatever the hell the normal map is. I mean, I'm only rank, I think I'm level 20 now. So I'm not level 30. I'm not into ranked games or any of that yet. But I've played enough of the standard game to know what that's about. And this was a lot more. It was faster. I mean, the game only took just over 20 minutes to complete. But it was definitely action-packed and there were quite a lot of crazy moments in it. And I was going off my face at points. But then I tend to do that anyway.
So I'll tell you, some of the moments in that video had me laughing to the point where I had to pause it. Your spectacular gank of Ash it's like a highlight of that.
I don't know what she was trying. She come over to me and you could clearly see it was my point. So I just blew her away. I hate Ash anyway, she's a scumbag. So remember to check that out as well. Then on today, no, this is tomorrow. No, what the hell? This is tomorrow. No, it's today. Tomorrow. Hang on. Today. Well, hang on. Why's my Lux Dominion gameplay thing gone up today then? It went up yesterday. Or maybe I was lazy. I don't know.
Maybe you caught it just after midnight.
I probably did. Good lord. Good lord. Working through the night like an animal. So, coming into today, actually today, not at 1 minute past midnight or whatever the hell happened with that last news post, Valve originally planned a year-long Defense of the Ancients 2 beta.
Luckily, they've realised that this is a stupid idea, and they've changed their minds. They're going to be releasing the international set of heroes as soon as possible. So they did the Dota 2 International. It went okay. There was the occasional pause in battle, I think is the right phrase.
Yeah,
or complete collapse.
The
one
match.
of the two.
Piss off. Yeah.
But it went quite well, and they decided that following that, they're not going to have a year-long beta because that is not clever. And instead, Ice Frog, who we all know, Mr. Ice Frog, he's turned up and he said they're going to take the current version of Dota 2 and get it out as fast as they possibly can. So there'll be a bit more beta time for it, but they're going to really push it as hard as they can. So
I wonder if they speed it up, because when I watched the international championship thing, it was really slow. I mean, really, really slow. Like the games were taking hours to finish, and it seemed a bit, like a bit mad. Like the champions didn't seem to do much damage to each other, and they also looked really small compared to the minions. They didn't look, like on League of Legends, you can see the champion is massive, and it's like all sparkly and shit. Oh, there's a champion. A minion looks piddly and crap like it should. But in Dota 2, they sort of look similar.
I think some of the champion models could do with a bit of a...
And names.
Yes. Mage Hunter or whatever it is. Anti-Mage. That's not a name. Why is he called...
He's what he does.
Yeah, he's called Anti-Mage. There's someone called Enchantress, and yet some of them have got actual names. It's like, why?
Well, there we are. Let's use Lux as an example from League of Legends. Lux is obviously because it's like it's similar to Luminosity or whatever, Lux. But they could have just called it Light Woman. That seems to be the way Valve do it. And what would they call Blitzcrank? Car robot.
Car fist.
Yeah, we've got a little game here. Yeah, what would we call Ash? What would you call Ash? You do one and then I'll do one. Ash,
Forest Wench.
No, it's got to be bland, son. Bland.
Well, it would just be... Well, for Ash, wouldn't it? It'd just be elf. That would be it, wouldn't it? Because that's effectively what she is.
Come on then, mine.
Ooh, Renekton.
Croc Man. This is terrible. Nasus.
Nasus. Oh. You know what? Actually, I can't remember what he's like. The Egyptian lad, ain't he? That looks like a bit Super Wolf. That's what they call him, Super Wolf.
Go away. He looks like Anubis, don't he? He'd just be called the Egyptian man,
the Egyptian. That's what he's called.
The Egyptian, yeah. Terrible. Oh, yeah, give me one more. Give me one more, son. You can't leave me hanging.
Oh, go on, Vayne.
Vayne. Well, just be crossbow assassin, wouldn't it? Or something like that. It'd be shit. What the hell? I mean, I need to sort their names out. They're just terrible. Then we've got an XCOM dev diary. And, well, XCOM is not an FPS game, is it?
There does seem to be a slight split of opinion. There's the developers, 2K, who have said that XCOM in first-person shooter will work, and that's what they've done with the dev diary. And then there's the world, which has said XCOM is not a first-person shooter, go away. So it'll be interesting to see who wins that particular argument.
Oh, I remember going on about this in the other gaming news. It's like, what the hell? Why have they even done this when they, all the gaming journalists and God knows what they all remember XCOM. They'd absolutely heavily promote it if it was just XCOM with better graphics and better gameplay mechanics. More gameplay mechanics. Instead, it's no. Let's turn it into a console. Well, not a console. Let's turn it into an FPS game so we can sell it to console gamers. And I don't like that.
Ranty.
It could be good. Any game could be good, but that is not what XCOM should be. So that looks pretty shit. And why is it in the 50s or the 40s or whatever the hell's going on? Get out of my face. I don't want to listen to your garbage anymore. Go away. So we've got finally, well, up until now anyway, not finally, because that's a bit final, ain't it? This is the last news you'll ever hear, and there'll be nothing else. We've got Diablo 3. The release is now set for early 2012.
Yeah, I mean, but they've not really said why as such. They've given they've Mike Morhaime. I always get confused whether that's the way to pronounce his name, but I think it is Morhaime.
I think it is Morhaime.
He said, we didn't put so many years of work into Diablo 3 to release a game that was almost ready, because that's what they do for World of Warcraft expansions. The beta test is going very well, and we look forward to making the most of the extra time we're taking to deliver an experience that lives up to our vision for the game and the expectations of our players. So it's sort of...
That's just a bullshit response, that is, to say we need more time to work it out.
They have said that they're looking to potentially add more testers than initially projected, which is so full of like middle management crap. It does my head in. But effectively, they're saying they might have more beta testers come in. So if you haven't applied yet,
they need to give us a key. No, don't apply. Don't apply.
Leave it. No, don't.
If you've got a key, give it to me. or if you've got the beta client linked to your account, give me your account. I will pay you back with a mystery song. I'll just give away the mystery song.
Oh no!
Oh God! Got no cards left to play. So whatever. I mean, them Blizzard chaps just take their time on anything. So you don't even know what they're doing. Hopefully, they're fixing the stupid issue with you get logged out if you're playing single player.
Yeah,
probably not though. Oh dear.
Optimistically, they're removing the need to be connected to their servers all the time, but realistically, they're not. They just don't want to release a half-baked product like they did with the last World of Warcraft expansion and the one before that.
Well, Wrath wasn't too bad, but it got bad. Quite quick.
Real bad.
Real bad and went off. But you're still taking a bite out of it, and you go, Doctor, please. Terrible. So we sort of come to the end of our gaming news trip. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Well, we go. I know where I go. I go for a blast of League of Legends, and you go to Encode.
Dirty bastard!
It's disgraceful, ain't it?
I think he's right there, the lad. So remember to subscribe to Unit Lost Tube because it's pure, and we all know that. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Get in our Steam group. Get on our TeamSpeak server. All the details are across the channel on unitlost.com, all over the place. And we'll catch you next time, people, because we've been Stylosa and Kirioth. Oh, actually, if you're at Eurogamer tomorrow, we might catch you there. Toodaloo.